a lot of traders that I talk to actually fail to have a trading criteria that nests in these kind of results. And if that is you, I'm going to actually share with you my trading criteria so you can have similar results like I do at 74% year-to-date performance, how it helped Deborah recover her account, how we've been able to help Agent recover his account back to break even with these type of trades, which is 130%, 292%, 103%. And it's the same trading criteria that Sewell uses, which he's a TGE Max member, that has netted him $100,000 in the trading account balance. And I'm going to give this to you in this video. So again, you can make money and be a profitable trader. All right. And just FYI, a lot of this, the way we trade, it really just comes down to swing trading. We're swing trading all the time, whether it's stocks or options, whatever makes us money, honestly. It doesn't really matter. We just want to make money. But I'll give you how I would handle it with the stock version or with the option version, because we do both and we like both. And I'm going to give you an example here with actually INTC and how we are trading this, okay? So again, you could do the same thing. Okay, now something to note here is that there is 3 buckets here because every scenario is different. This is the way we trade. So there's an entry criteria, a stop criteria, and a exit criteria. How do we take our money? How do we cut the trade off? How do we even enter a trade? And probably the most important, they're all important, but before you enter a trade, which is something that that a lot of traders fail to do, is the entry criteria. Okay, and it's the difference between somebody making, let's say, somebody making 5% on a stock price versus somebody netting a 60 or 30% return. Or it's the difference between making a 30% in the option call or option contract versus 100 or 200% return. It makes the biggest difference in the world. And I'm going to share with you how to do this again. It's all on the entry. The entry is really, really important, as is the stop and the exit, but the entry is probably a little bit more critical because it comes down to opportunity, right? So here's the things that I do first, which all lead to one thing. Is the RVR worth it? This is the main thing to figure out, okay? And RVR is short for risk versus reward. We want a high RVR. That means a high RVR ratio, and it should be a minimum of 3, okay? And the way I figure this out is by a couple things, actually. And I actually have to move this stuff around. I have to move this probably here first. So let me actually adjust this because I actually have this not in order. This is the step-by-step, right? So here's what I got to figure out. What are the price targets by the end of the month, by the end of the quarter, and by the end of the year? And then I have to figure out what are the key levels that are getting in the way of those price targets, and is the stock in a bullish sentiment or in a bearish sentiment? So if I want to go target for a long, then I have to figure out, has this transitioned to a bullish dominated environment, or is it entering, or is it in a bearish environment, right? You don't want to be trading against the trend, especially in this kind of strategy, because we trade a lot of directional trades. And so we need to have these levels and this information pretty much very clear. Otherwise, the trade will not work, okay? So let me give you an example here with INTC and how we're actually, let me give you CMG. CMG is a good example here. So this is CMG right here. And here are the first things that you got to figure out here. End of the month, quarter, end of the year. Now there's 3 different types. Oh, this is 2. It says 1 actually. Hold on. This is really important to figure out because each one is a different bucket for me. I have different funds, different accounts for each type of range. For like the end of the month, that's more of a short-term swing. For the quarter, it's more of a medium-term swing expiration time length. And then the end of the year will be maybe about 3 to 6 months of a hold. Doesn't mean it has to wait that long, but for the majority of the time, that's usually the case. So that's a different style of getting expirations and shares, right? So here are the criteria, right? I got to find these targets: end of the month, quarterly, and also the end of the year. And for CMG, for Chipotle, I only have at the moment, I only have the quarter and the end of the year at the moment, because I actually have a leap trade on this trade, which I think we're currently up about 9% on the leap. And so what was the criteria? Like, how did I come to enter this trade, right? Let's go over that. So first, find the targets. Now, the way I find the targets, it's really, really simple. This is my tool that I built, that I developed personally, and it's called Gextron. Gextron helps me figure out key levels, and it helps me figure out if we're in a bullish sentiment environment and what are the price targets. And it's really, really simple. This is the pro dashboard right here. So you can see right now it's empty tapes because it's the end of it's Sunday and the market's not open at the moment, which we're all itching to get back in within the Telegram group, which again, if you're interested in trading with me, there is a link in the description box. But here's the price targets tab. I just go here, and the way I get the quarterly price target is that I got to look for the next earnings date, because every securities quarter ends on the earnings date, which for this one, for Chipotle, it's actually going to be October 22, okay, of this year. And so all I do is I look for the expiration for that security. This is the closest one at the moment. It says 48.61. Now, I currently marked 47.02 when I first entered this trade, which was Friday, actually. And I said, okay, great. Like, here's the expected move for this. Now, what's the end of the year? For the end of the year, I like to get the end of the end of this year, the start of January expiration. And I like to get this number. So I can see here, all I got to do is just find the January 2026 expiration. And then I just click on this little tab. You can see a little check mark. That means it got copied into my clipboard. It says 52.24. And I think when I first did this, it was 51.59, which is perfect. And this is all based on Gextron grabbing the implied volatility for this security, doing its calculations, and just telling me like, hey, these are the targets, and this is what market participants believe it's going to be, and that's it, right? Awesome. So all I do is just draw a horizontal line on TradingView to just kind of keep tabs on it, right? Now that I know that, the next thing I had to figure out here on the list, on the checklist, is where are the key levels and where is P-Trans? P-Trans, and there's two key terms that we use inside the Telegram group, is P-Trans and N-Trans. It's just short for positive transition and negative transition. Of course, like just in the term itself, positive transition is a bullish environment, or at least the start of a bullish sentiment environment for that security. And N-Trans is the start of a negative or bearish transition, right? A bearish environment sentiment transition from bullish to negative and bearish and all that stuff. Awesome. I think I just jumbled up those words. Okay. The next thing is, what are the key levels? Now, this is really simple with Gextron. It's any tall bars, whether it's negative bars or positive bars, right? So in this case, it's 44, it's 47.5, and it's 50. And for the downside, it's 42.5, 42, and 40. This is based on the strikes that exist for this security. And I think I have to update this. So let's see. At the moment, I have 43.5 as P-Trans. Now, 43.5 was the original. You can see here that it's actually now 43, which is good. P-Trans, how do I know that this is the positive transition? This is the rule of thumb that we use within the TG Max membership. It's the first positive bar, and the next three to the right have to be positive. So in this case, 43, 1, 2, 3, positive bars. Awesome. So 43 is the start of a bullish sentiment environment, which is P-Trans. And it's the opposite for N-Trans. The way we know that it's in a negative environment, in a bearish environment, is the first negative bar, and the next three to the left have to be negative. So in this case, it's going to be 42. It's the first negative. Not this one, even though it's negative color, it's got green bars to the left side. In this case, it's going to be 42.5, 1, 2, 3, That's it. So it starts here at 42.5. And I actually have to update these levels now. This was different. 42.5, and then now this is 43. Now the beautiful part about this these levels in Gextron in general is that it's dynamic. Okay, it's always updating, it's always modifying based on the current option pricing market, based on what's happening right now, based on market participants. Okay, so I'm never looking to the left side of the chart to figure out what is it still good. I don't know, I don't feel confident about this. I just let Gextron look to the right side of the chart, figure it out with the option pricing, and then it's just always giving me future projections. So as of right now, it's projecting that 47.5 is going to be the biggest resistance level. Friday, I label this as MR, like max reward. Used to be 44. It's no longer the case. 44 is still an area of interest because it's a tall bar, but it's no longer the case. It's not longer the biggest area of resistance. Now it's telling me it's 47.5. So I have to update this. 47.5. It's actually right here. So now I got to update this line and say MR. It's a max reward, which is really good because this is where I'm probably going to sell the majority of my position here, right? Because it's also close to the price target that we set first, 47.02. Awesome. So now that I have this, now I have to calculate, well, what's the risk versus reward? Because remember, if we go back to the checklist about the entry criteria, it's, well, one, are we above P-trans, which we certainly are, and we were above it on Friday, so we got into a position. But before I get into that, what's the RVR? It's a minimum of ratio 3, right? So in this case, I just used the forecasting tool for long position, and I say, okay, awesome, let's just do it again, right? I'm just gonna click it here. I got in, I don't remember if I got in around here. I gotta figure out the timing. Let's just say that we got in here, right? And my stop is P-trans because that's my stop right there now, right? And if I want to target the quarterly expected move, that's a 7.34 risk reward ratio. Perfect. It's way above, or it exceeds my minimum ratio of 3, which is a good trade, right? So when it comes to entering a trade, it's all about is the risk versus reward ratio there, right? So I'm willing to lose about, at the moment, 1% of the stock to gain about 7 for an 8% move upside, which is perfect. Now, if I want to go for the end of the year target, now that makes the risk versus reward ratio 16.98. This is exactly how we're able to make these enormous jumps and recoveries on accounts, because it's always about risk versus reward. Now, here's the caveat with this type of risk versus reward. It's a balance. You either have to sacrifice win rate for a higher RVR, or you have to sacrifice RVR for a higher win rate. And in my opinion, having the higher RVR is much better than having a higher win rate, because it's less time for me to be looking at the charts. I just get the trade, I enter, and I just wait. And I can have a lower win rate, which is about 33% win rate or 40, and still come out at break even or profitable, because my risk versus reward, like the losers are always small, just like you saw here. It's a 1% of the stock. And yes, it might look like this. Like this is what the P&L typically looks like on an account. It's like this, boom. Or it's like this, a little bit down, and boom, you make your next leg up, right? At some point, because of this could take this. You don't know how the win rate's going to roll. Like if you roll a dice, you don't know if it's going to be a series of losers first, or a series of winners, or some sort of mix, right? You just don't know how that's going to happen, right? So a lot of the trades that we take are small sizes, right? Take a lot of trades that meet the entry criteria, RVR, and take small sizes so you can have enough probability to give you that next leg up. Now, for the stop criteria, how do I get out? Very, very simple. Okay, very simple. Do we lose P-trans, right? Because it makes sense. In this case of Chipotle, If Chipotle, I'm in it for the long, for more upside potential. If it loses P-Trans, then it's no longer in a call dominated environment. I have to get out. Period. Right? That's why you see this here, like it says. And the thing is, like, let's say the price of the stock goes here, and now P-Trans is like all the way here. Like, hey, it's 44.38. If we lose this, I still get out. That is my stop because we're no longer in a bullish environment for this given security, right? So it's very simple. Do we lose P-Trans or not? If we don't lose it, awesome. Then I will continue holding it. And this will change too. This will never be like it will drop and P-Trans will be high. Like if we lose P-Trans, we're in either N-Trans or above P-Trans. It's got to be one or the other. Now, for my exit criteria, this is depending on what trade I'm taking, whether it's short-term swing trade, medium-term, or long-term, right? I get out when I hit the price targets. That is it. Okay? When typically, I'm going to say about 90% of the time, when price targets are hit, I'm going to show you one example here, like Upstart. This 87, I just modified this. This was actually like 86 or something, like 86.90 or something like that. When it hits this dotted line right here, it rejects very hard, right? If you're doing options, this is going to hurt the P&L of your option contract. It's just better to either sell the majority, like 80% of your position, or sell all of it and just wait for something to pull back and then you get in again. Okay, there's always other opportunities, so don't feel like you have to like by using this price target, Gextron's price targets. I'm literally maximizing the profits. Can it go higher? Yes, at that point that's just the power of supply and demand, but that is part of the plan. That is why I've been able to net a 74% year-to-date performance, because I just follow the plan. That's it. When it meets my exit criteria, it was part of the plan. When it hits the stop loss, it was part of the plan. When it meets the entry criteria, it was part of the plan. That is it. Okay? That is how we trade. And that is how you will be able to net this type of returns as well too. If you have any questions, put them in the comments down below. If you want to trade with me and my team, if you want to just join and learn more like the courses and all that stuff, which is all free. Like all this information is free on my free community. I'll put a couple links in the description, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.